a song. Some of my earliest memories are musical, and in all my years, I've learned that songs are really powerful. I mean, they can make you laugh, they can make you cry, they can make you want to move, and they can transport you back to a specific place and time where you can remember exactly how cool the air was to breathe that day, or what color everything became under the streetlights when they come on at night. It's like an out-of-body experience. It's like coffee. It's magical. But why? So I want to get to the bottom of it. My name's Adam. I'm going to talk to every songwriter I can. I'm going to find out first what they take in their coffee and then what it takes to make a great song. That's Coffee and a Song. Hey guys, Adam here. Welcome to the latest episode of Coffee and a Song. Just want to thank you guys for tuning in to all the episodes. If you're enjoying what we're doing, make sure you head over to YouTube, subscribe to our channel, hit the bell notifications. That's Jackshot Records. Or you can find us on Facebook or Instagram at Jackshot Records. So check that out. You'll get all the updates on the latest episodes and what we're up to. Anyway, let's get on with today. My guest today has been a staple in the singer-songwriter scene for more than a decade. Offering her own distinct brand of folky soul, she is known for wowing crowds with her own original compositions, as well as her knack for rearranging some of the most recognizable songs into something completely fresh and new. Her distinct voice has echoed the halls of some of the finest establishments across the city of Vancouver during her years spent there in their local music scene, as well as all across the north where she now calls home. You may also recognize her as one of the featured acts in the Skeena Media musical performance series, Skeena Sessions. All of these solid, heartfelt performances have solidified her as an in-demand performer at venues all over. It gives me great pleasure to welcome to this episode of Coffee and a Song, Ms. Sonya-Jean. Sonya.
Hi.
Welcome. Cheers.
Cheers.
So I got to tell you, it's really strange now because I'm not normally this prominent in people's lives being in front of a camera, but since I have, people stop me now wherever I go. I get emails, I get questions. So when they find out certain guests are on there, this is like the top of the list question. So I have to ask this right off the bat. Okay? And you got to answer like that. Okay. What do you take in your coffee?
What do I take in my coffee? I take sugar and cream.
Okay.
I do. Yeah.
And is that your hot beverage of choice, coffee?
I usually drink coffee, but I try to just have a coffee once a day if I can. If I'm performing, it's like tea.
Yeah. So tea now?
Tea now. Yeah,
absolutely. Does coffee jitter you out if you have too much?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I usually before a performance I don't usually drink too much, even if it is alcoholic beverages. It's just something that I need to like be in the zone a little bit. So yeah.
You need to be hydrated, but there's a balance because if you're halfway through a set and you need to pee, you got nowhere to go.
Yeah,
nowhere to hide.
That's the worst.
Yeah.
That's the worst.
Okay. What about the specialty coffees? Do you like mochas or lattes?
I used to. I don't have much of a sweet tooth anymore.
Okay.
So, medium.
Okay.
Medium.
Okay.
Yep.
Pretty straight up. Do you take coffee on a road trip when you go?
Yes.
Okay, so if you're heading out on a road trip right now, where do you have to get your coffee from?
I make it.
You make it?
I'll make it, and I'll make a lot of it because I make really good coffee.
Okay.
And
so you don't trust anybody else?
Well, that's a statement. With my coffee, maybe more myself. If I'm going to stop somewhere, I mean, it really depends.
Okay.
Where it is.
Okay.
Where I am.
Do you have like a secret coffee place that only you know about?
No.
Okay. All right.
I don't think so.
I like that you make your own though. That's good. Because
yes.
Sometimes you don't know what you're going to get if you go through I won't name any names, but.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay. All right. Well, that's honestly enough about coffee because that's not why I'm here, although I love coffee, but I need to talk about music a little bit. So you've been at this a long time. Mm-hmm. What do you think your earliest musical memory is? What's the first thing, like, doesn't have to be when you were playing, but just the first thing you remember about music?
Well, music has always been in my family, and if I think about the most earliest thing, maybe subconsciously, like when my mom was pregnant with us, my dad would play guitar to her belly. Oh, wow. And it was the same guitar he played for years. So I feel subconsciously that really put it in. But I think the earliest memory I have of like performing is we were involved in a radio station in the church. Oh. And I think it was 9 when I sang on the radio. Oh, wow. And I remember recording, and yeah, we have some, clips of that, and just hearing my voice, it's pretty cute. Has
it changed a lot? Probably.
Yeah.
So you've been on the radio and stuff before, so this is all pretty pretty low budget for you. I apologize. in
No, this
advance
is
for you.
actually
Okay.
really great. This is fantastic. I'm impressed.
So that's early days for you. But what was what was the journey to becoming a musician? Like, when did you start grabbing an instrument, and how did that kind of come about?
It was just always around. So I think the first lessons we took was piano. It was just always around the house. There was
Right.
always piano, the guitar. We had like random different types of instruments that like my dad was kind of learning. The
Right.
saxophone was always around. Just anything and everything. So we just, especially the djembe. Djembe and drums have always been in our family, which is like, I don't really perform with it, but it's actually one of my main things that I play when I'm not singing or playing the guitar.
So like a jam situation, you want to grab that
I love the
djembe.
djembe.
Nice.
Yep.
How many different instruments do you play?
Well, I can't read music, even
Okay.
though I've taken lessons, but I can play the flute still.
Okay.
I can play the flute, piano a bit, guitar, obviously. My voice is more my thing. So yeah, djembe.
And where's your comfort zone? Is it guitar maybe? Like as far as instruments aside
Honestly,
from your
the
voice?
djembe.
Is that right, eh? Okay.
I absolutely love playing the djembe, and I like drums and beats and music. That's what I'm drawn to.
Right.
When I hear a good beat in the song, like that is something I'm really drawn to.
Okay.
And maybe just because that was something I grew up with hearing all the time was drums and all that. So, but I guess my voice, like I'm not a technical guitar player, I guess.
Right.
So if I'm gonna jam out, djembe voice is kind of my
Gotcha.
instrument. Yeah.
So the guitar is more like just a support instrument for your vocal kind
I
of thing.
think
Is that how
so.
you- yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So as a female artist, what's your view on the climate as far as the music scene goes and what females face? Because I've heard different things from different people, and I'm a guy, so I didn't face probably the same things. But do you think there's roadblocks there as a female artist, or do you think it's getting better?
Both.
Okay.
Both.
Yeah.
It really depends where you are. I think, I guess, like coming from Vancouver, I mean, it's a big city, but it's not huge. So the music scene there is quite small.
Right.
And there are a few like female artists that like I really admire there, and I guess it's not that it's more accepted, but I guess it's just more of like there's more opportunity maybe.
Okay.
And I think in the last few years for sure there's been more female artists coming out. They are like, you know, more solo artists, which is really nice to see. I do see it getting better in that way. I don't think it's like a conscious thing that people are thinking of. It's just like naturally kind of unfolding that way.
Right.
Maybe because the music scene now, especially in Terrace and smaller communities, are more and more people are getting into it. There's more people like picking up the guitar and you know, finding their voice, right?
Sure, yeah.
So I don't know if I found like myself with too much blockages. You really have to push a little bit more.
Right.
To really like, you know, I want to perform. Can I perform? So just with that, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. And do you have a particular female artist that you view as like a really huge influence? Was there one that just impacted you more than anything? Yeah.
My whole life, Jewel
Yeah.
was like, I loved how she performed. I loved her music. I loved the fact that she would take her own songs and change it up constantly depending on what audience she was singing to.
Right.
I took that on, and though, you know, I was writing, I would take some of her songs or songs that I liked from other artists and I would make it different.
Right. Make it your own.
And that's a really great way to learn how to write.
Right.
Is changing up a song of another artist, or even how I play a song, I'll change up how I sing that depending on my audience. But Jewel was like number one. She had like this really interesting folk, but then got into more soul as she gradually went into like her new albums and stuff. And I mean, it did go to more pop, but she was my major influence.
Cool. And did she do country album too at one point?
She was a
or?
bit country too, but because she has that kind of folk root, but some of her live performances are just like my absolute favorite.
Right.
And I was like, I want to be on stage and I want to sing like that.
Yeah.
And engaging with people and major influence for me.
I remember her coming on the scene very well, and it was like at a time for me when there wasn't a lot of what I would call like female artists on the radio. There was lots of female performers, but like people who were writing their own material and stuff. And there was, I mean, that's kind of the Lilith Fair era too. And she burst onto the scene. She had a great story. Like I loved the story. She was homeless for a bit, lived in a car, all that kind of stuff. So
lived in the Yukon, I believe.
Yeah, or Alaska.
Alaska, just really cool.
Yeah, great story. Cool. So what's your favorite way to listen to music?
My favorite way to listen.
Like vinyl? Do you like vinyl?
I love vinyl.
Yeah?
Yeah. If I'm like cooking or doing something in my house and you put vinyl on, it gives it this very warm, comforting feeling, and it kind of, I don't know, when I listen to vinyl, it's almost like you're there because you can hear like the little sounds, like it's almost like you're sitting in a room like this and listening to somebody record. And I really like that kind of raw sound. I find with headphones, if you can get a vinyl with headphones, way better.
Right.
Because you can really actually hear
catch
all like
everything.
the small, I like listening to it loud all the time.
Yeah. And do you sing like just unabashedly when you're listening to music?
Yeah.
So your neighbors think you're great. My neighbors, I've got great neighbors, but I'm sure they would never tell me this, but I'm sure they must think I'm crazy because sometimes everybody in this house just screams.
Yeah.
I feel too like with vinyl, it's you're making an effort.
Yeah.
You know, like sometimes we consume music so much, it's everywhere. It's, you know, it's so accessible, but when you decide to actually walk over to a record player, put on an album, and you listen to someone's album.
And you listen to the whole thing, right?
It's very deliberate.
Yeah, it's like it's listening to an art piece. It's kind of like, I mean, Pink Floyd, when you listen to their album, it transitions into it like the next song so well.
That's
and
right.
so it's like an art piece. And I do feel that maybe, you know, I'm sure other albums do that. But I think that there was more fluidity with the songs with vinyl because that's just how you listen to it, right? So I appreciate that a lot.
Yeah, me too. It's I'm sad that it's kind of a dying art form, the album itself. People are going to singles and stuff like that now, but to listen to a whole album, you got the context. Even though a song might not be your favorite, it sat within a context of all the other songs and made you understand better. Okay, so if you had a magic button, and you were forced to use this magic button, and what it would do is it would freeze time and music, and so we would be stuck with a certain era of music to listen to forever. What era would that be for your magic button?
Oh, because I like a whole bunch of different types of genres. I mean, maybe like the 70s, late 70s, like Fleetwood Mac kind of era.
Yeah.
I mean, I went and saw them live, and I went by myself because I really wanted to enjoy them. And they were phenomenal. Lindsey Buckingham is just a phenomenal. He's my favorite guitar player. And so I think like that era where music was just like, it was like rock and roll, but like cool, but like soft, and the lyrics made sense. And it was very transformative, like for that area of what everybody was going through, so you could connect with it. And so I think maybe there.
Cool. That's a good era.
Stick around there.
You don't ever have to apologize for any era. All the music's good, but so Fleetwood Mac also like just master grooves, but they've got a great story. They started out as like a hardcore blues band, really, right? Is what they were, a British blues band, and transitioned with Stevie Nicks and Buckingham. So, but they fired him from the band. Do you know that?
Yeah, Lindsey. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
So I saw him on their last tour.
Oh wow!
And he played like a 15-minute solo at the end. People were leaving to get to their cars. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? It was pretty cool. But yes, I did hear that.
Yeah.
Which is...
And they got Mike Campbell to replace him as a guitar player. He was Tom Petty's guitar player, and he's fantastic and phenomenal. But then they also got the guy, I think from Crowded House or another band, to kind of sing the parts that he sang. And I watched them play live on TV. It wasn't as good to me.
It's a little different.
Yeah, it's a little different. It's a new era of Fleetwood Mac, unfortunately. Okay, so songwriter philosophies, I want to dive into that a little bit. So Do you have a song in your brain? Maybe it's a Jewel song now, but that you heard and just liked it the first time you heard it. Like some songs take a few times, right? But is there one song that you can think of that like you heard it and right away you were like, that's my new favorite?
I'm trying to think. Tash Sultana.
Okay.
Have you ever heard her?
I don't.
She's fantastic.
Okay.
She's, 19, 20? She's crazy looper. She is from New Zealand.
Oh, wow.
And I went to see her with Chad last year or so. But she's like a one-woman band.
Oh, cool.
And she loops like 6 instruments. And her vocals and her sound, and like when I first heard her, I was like, oh my gosh. So one of her, I think, like more popular songs is called Jungle.
Okay.
And check it out.
Okay,
it is
so
phenomenal.
what was her name again?
Tash Sultana.
Tash Sultana.
Yeah.
And Jungle is the song.
Jungle.
Check that out.
Yeah.
And in case people are watching and they're not really aware, a looper is something that you use with an instrument, and it allows you to play the instrument, record a portion, and then you can play something new over top of it. So you can essentially turn yourself into a full band. So it's really cool to watch.
Very talented.
Okay. What do you think about that song drew you in right away? Like what was different about that song compared to songs that maybe took you 6 or 7 listens to?
The beat, because
Okay,
I'm drawn
yeah.
to that. Her vocals are amazing. They're soft, but she's a very different sound.
Okay.
She's a very different sound, and it's soft, but she's like a powerhouse. Like when you see her play guitar, it's like rock and roll, but
Oh, wow.
she's not rock and roll. So it's a really neat, like her shows are beautiful. Just listening to her is so soulful and beautiful. And for being so young, she writes with a lot of experience.
Wow.
And so, yeah.
Cool. Very cool. Okay. So for you with songwriting, how does it work for you? Like what would be a normal day in a songwriting sequence for you? How does it come to you?
I figure out a strum, like sound, and sometimes what I do is I'll write down just a bunch of words, how I'm like feeling or whatever, what I want to write about. And then as I'm strumming, I'll look at the words and kind of place them into an order.
Okay.
So I'll either do it that way, or sometimes words will just like come to me because I'm feeling a certain way. The song I'm going to sing today was just that. Like I strummed and I knew what I kind of wanted to say, and it just like came out.
Wow.
And so, I can write songs in 20 minutes, or I can take a song and it takes me like months.
Right.
So I think it just depends like what state you're at,
Yeah.
You get it. It's you have to be in like a little bit of like a zone, and that like a little bit more in touch with your feelings than
That's right. Yeah.
to write something that's like really meaningful for you. But also something that is not just so close to you that people can't connect, or you know what I mean? There
Right,
needs to be
yeah.
a little bit of that balance.
Availability for people.
Yeah. So I think it really just depends like what's really coming out, but usually the sound first, then lyrics. And yeah.
And if you're not in that mood, say if I'm writing a song, whatever I'm working on is my new favorite thing, and I'll get that way. And I'm notorious. I'll write a verse and a chorus, and then I'll put it away somewhere and come back to it. And sometimes I can't get back in that same headspace. Do you find that difficult, or can you force yourself to do it, work through it? Yeah. So it has to be like the right. Yeah.
And that's the thing I think with like artists, when you're like, when are they going to come up with their new album? It's like, if they're writing it, they need to have that space and time to do it.
Yeah.
So, we don't have people writing music for us, so we can sing it.
That's right.
So I think it does take a lot of work to do that, and you have to be in the right headspace. But there's times like I'll go back to it, and it's like maybe just tweaking already the lyrics that I've already had, and I want to change that. And then in changing that, then it kind of flows.
Okay.
So
opens up something
it
new.
opens up, and
So you're not afraid to go back and tweak what you've already done. Some people are very protective of their earliest
I'll keep
idea.
it. I'll keep it on a piece of paper and write exactly what that lyric is and change it on a separate piece of paper.
Right, okay.
I use voice notes
Yeah.
all the time. Like if I even have lyrics or a sound or humming or whatever it is, and I'll put it in my phone just so I can go back on it later to see if like I want to play around with that.
It's the handiest tool in the toolkit of the modern day songwriter, right? Is the phone.
Yeah.
Even the notes, I put lyrics ideas. So, Do you do that too? Like you hear someone say something, you think, oh, that's a good line for a song. Do you write stuff like that down, or words come to you in your dreams?
I did do that with one artist, Trevor Hall. He is one of my favorite artists.
Okay.
He's like the new age Jack Johnson.
Oh wow.
I love him.
Okay.
I actually got one of his quotes tattooed on me.
Wow.
And I actually used that quote in a song of mine.
Oh wow.
So I think that's the only time I've ever used somebody else's lyric
Sure.
in a song.
Okay.
But yeah.
I haven't heard his music, so it's kind of Jack Johnson-esque.
He's, new age Jack Johnson.
Okay, that's an interesting combination.
Yes, he's as calming as listening to Jack Johnson, but he talks about, he's a little bit more spiritual and, but not so like, out there.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I love his stuff.
Okay. I've already asked a bunch of these. I went off my notes. I do that all the time.
That's okay.
So, man, I've asked all these. Sorry.
Did you ask me everything?
Not everything, but
How would I ask you a question?
No, that's off limits. That's. So, do you have a certain formula too you follow? Like if you're looking at your songs, is there a consistency where it's like verse, chorus, bridge? Do you always put a bridge in? Is it like, do you have a certain formula you follow, or is it just kind of however it feels?
However it feels. Most of the time I come up with a chorus first.
Okay.
And then surrounding what that chorus is, like depending on like how I'm feeling or what I'm trying to get across, is usually in the chorus.
Yes.
And the verse is kind of like to support the chorus, right? And that's like the story where the chorus is your plot, I guess, right?
Yeah.
So I find like I'll write the chorus and then surround that with the supporting, verses of what I'm trying to get at. That's not either so direct or lets people kind of think about it.
Right.
What I'm saying, but then they're like, oh, I get it because I know what the chorus is talking about.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
So I guess that's what I do chorus, verse. Sometimes a bridge.
Yeah.
Sometimes the bridge doesn't necessarily need to be lyrics. It can just be an extra strumming of...
Right. Musical departure,
yeah,
whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So, when you write a song and it's finished, do you feel like it's necessary to perform it before it's really finished? Or do you have a lot of songs you kind of just keep your own and just for yourself?
No, I perform it.
Right.
Because I find that that's just me, I guess. I mean, there's obviously songs that I'm like, okay, I know this isn't done. I'm not going to perform it.
Right.
But there's definitely been times that I'm like, I've only played it maybe 5 times in my home, and I'm like, I'm feeling like I want to play this.
Right.
So sometimes it's like the best time I've ever sang it.
Okay.
So I think I really work off of people's energy, and so song, and I'm drawn to sing it. There's something that I notice in singing it that makes the song perfect, if that makes any sense. Yeah. So, I mean, there's definitely songs I won't sing because I'm like, they're either way too personal and it's more just for me.
Yeah.
Which is like, music therapy. That's a good way to do that. Just songwriting for yourself. You don't have to perform it. But most of the time I have. Yeah. I'm just like, hey guys, I've never sang this before and I'm going to do this. And most of the time people are super stoked. Actually, all the time.
That's good.
People are stoked, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like you're just like, even if you said to somebody, like, I'm nervous, people are like, we're going to pump you up. So, yeah, I generally
That's good.
do.
It's good to have your people, right? Too,
Yeah.
to be there. Like you need that. As a performer, it's good to have that feedback, I think.
Yes.
So, there's a 10-year-old girl somewhere today, maybe even watching this, and she's just gone out and bought a ukulele, and she figures she wants to be a songwriter. So what advice would you give to her right now? It's just starting.
Play. Just play. Like, not like literally play your guitar, but like play with just playing music. Like, don't take yourself so seriously. Okay. Because you can, once you start comparing yourself to all the amazing musicians out there, it could, like, there are. But as, it's been pointed out to me, there's only one you.
Right. So
you just play around with it and don't take it so seriously. And if you are young and you're starting to write, your experiences as a 10-year-old is just as valid as when you're older, right? Mm-hmm. So when you get older, obviously you've experienced a little bit more.
Right.
But, I started writing when I was 10. I think the first song I, wrote about this boy I liked, and it's called Blue Eyed Boy, and it was, the cheesiest song ever. And I think I still remember it.
Wow.
Yeah, but I mean, just write stuff. And
How did you write that song at that age? How did that happen? I'm curious.
I think I just like I think I maybe was 10 or 12 or something like that, and I had a crush on someone. And I just started singing about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I was really shy with that, so I would never, say anything to that person.
Right.
But
that musical therapy maybe, right?
music, yeah, I just like, it was an outlet for me, and I, was able to express that in that way. So, I mean, it could be about just like your best friend. Mm-hmm. It could be about, being outside, or it could be about just how you are feeling as a 10-year-old.
Right.
How do you feel? And so just not taking it so seriously, but just writing everything down.
Cool.
Because, yeah, that's sometimes the best way to write something. Is just don't take yourself so seriously.
Nice.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so if money is not a factor, so we're not going to use money in this equation
Yes.
at all, but what's a famous song or a popular song that you wish you had written?
I know this because I've said it. I think there was a Tash Sultana song that she sang, and I'm like, I wish I wrote that. I'm trying to think now.
Was it Jungle?
It wasn't Jungle. It was another
That's
one.
That's the only song I know by her.
Yeah. I think there's definitely songs that like really resonate with me, and I'm like, I think it's not so much that I wish I wrote it, but I wish I could sound like that, because there are a lot of the genres of music that I really love, like it's not my sound.
Okay.
And so I'm like, I wish I could sound like that sometimes, like just to what is their names? Oh man, it's gonna lose me.
But it's pretty typical too to always want what you don't have. Like you want to sound like a singer that doesn't sound like you.
But I'm so drawn to like the really blues and
right.
That soft blues kind of sound, and it's I mean, it is different than what I sound like, but I think anytime I hear a song like that, I'm like, I wish I wrote that.
Right.
And I wish I just I appreciate it so much. So
cool. Okay. This is the one, we'll edit this out later.
Okay.
Only the kids in the control room and Chad sitting over in the chair, they are going to get to hear this. So
okay.
Maybe. Yeah. Guilty pleasure. Everybody's got them.
A guilty pleasure.
I want to know what song is a guilty pleasure that you wouldn't want to necessarily go out and tell.
Oh, I don't care.
Yeah, okay.
You know that song? I'm like, I love you always, forever, near and
far.
far.
Okay, yeah.
That song is my guilty pleasure,
wow, okay.
and I love that song.
Wow.
It Return to the Mac.
Okay. Wow. Well, there you go.
Those songs, and I know Chad sitting over there is like, Sonya, you're not saying it, but definitely is anything that's like J-Lo.
Okay, yeah. Nice.
He always like, you know how I know you're getting ready? Because you're listening to J-Lo. So that's my guilty pleasure.
There you go.
Though
perfect.
she's, I don't know, I think she's great.
Very talented, very hardworking,
talented.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay. You ever collaborate when you write? You ever collaborate with other artists?
I have never collaborated with words, so I wouldn't even know where to begin with that. I have collaborated. There's this place in Vancouver, and we called it Pancakes and Jam. So every Sunday, everyone would go and they would have breakfast, and then like all these musicians would come together and collaborate with each other, but then have breakfast and then dance around. It was amazing.
Wow.
So me and my friend Ian Cromwell, he's still doing amazing in Vancouver, and we collaborated sort of on a song, because while we were up there, the band would just play music and I would just like come up with lyrics.
Right.
And we would just sing. And I came up with this lyric, and we basically made a song up there. And so he took that and actually wrote a song from it.
Oh wow, really cool.
So anytime I go to Vancouver and he is performing, he gives me a little shout out, and he's like, my friend's song is here. Just want to let you know we collaborated. And it's literally like a lyric. But I think that's the only time I've ever done it, when we are up on stage and like the band's like feeling it, and then I'm just coming up with lyrics, and then people are like, did you write that? Like, we literally just made this up.
Yeah.
So that really helped me, just being on the spot and playing and singing and just coming up with words helped me write as well. But cool, yeah. I think that's the only time I've really collaborated.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
And spontaneous like that.
Very spontaneous.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
Okay. So collaboration, this is something to consider. Okay, so you just wrote a song. Your friend Ian's song has just taken off. He's just released it. Now it's like all over the radio, and people know that you co-wrote it. Yeah. So your manager phones you up and says, hey, listen, everybody wants to work with you. Everybody wants to write with you. You get to pick one. So you get to collaborate with anybody in the world right now. Who is that? It can be J-Lo too if you want. It's okay.
Oh, I know. She'd be so good. I just want to dance with her. If I could collaborate with someone, I think it would be pretty cool to collaborate with Tash Sultana, because she really is kind of like a person I'm admiring a lot right now. There's an artist that's coming to mind, and I'm just forgetting her name, so I can't let you know.
That's okay. But Tash Sultana, for sure.
She definitely is somebody I would collaborate with. On the spot here, I'm just like going through my file cabinet of all my musicians that I really love. It's
tough. And I would squirm like nobody else if someone were asking me these questions.
I think it really depends. I think it depends because I like every genre. So I'm like, I would have to be like, what sound do I want to, get out there, right? I don't know. That's a really hard one.
What about Jewel being an early one for you?
She would be pretty amazing. She would be. She would be. But for some reason, I'm like, I don't know. I mean, if she was in my presence, I obviously
You're not going to say no.
No, Jewel. No.
No, my manager told me anybody. You didn't make the list.
Yeah, not you.
Yeah, okay.
I'll have to think about that.
Yeah, that's a tough question.
Maybe I'll have to just, manifest that.
Yeah. It might just happen, right?
Who knows?
Okay. So right now, obviously, times are strange. There's no gigs happening. There's none of that kind of stuff. But what have you been up to musically? Like just in this time? What have you been doing?
Musically, well, because I have like another 5 hobbies, it has taken a little bit of a back seat. Just like personal reasons and stuff, and because musical is just so like soulful,
seated emotionally,
and it's so seated emotionally that in the last couple of years I have taken a little bit of a step back from it. But I've actually, with the times, I've written 2 songs that reflect what's kind of going on, and it really surprised me that that's actually what came out.
Wow.
And so I'm really excited to kind of dive into that and see what that's about. And these are songs I have not performed, obviously, because we can't. But I'll eventually post it.
Cool.
And see how that kind of goes, because it's very different than anything I've done.
You definitely have to let us know when you do that, and then we can share it on our page and that kind of stuff. That'll be really cool.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So, and you brought a song today.
I did bring a song today.
What's the song called?
It's called Home.
Home.
It's called Home. It was a song that really surprised me because it was one of the first songs that kind of got me out of how I was writing before. Mm-hmm. And obviously, when you hear the lyrics, you'll understand that. And I think, it's a very meaningful song, but it's also a song that I think other people it tells a story. It really does. It's like the first time that it actually tells like a story that maybe people can relate to, and it gives you a visual when you hear it. And it's one of my favorite songs to sing. Like, I think there's like good songs. Like, I have people that like sing this song, but I'm like, I just don't like singing it.
Yeah.
But this is a song I like to sing. Well,
that's really cool because I love this. Joe Walsh, I don't know if you know Joe Walsh, but he was a guitar player with the Eagles. He was also with, I just lost her name, but he also had a solo career. Anyway, he wrote the song Rocky Mountain Way, an old 70s rock tune or whatever. And I watched a concert of him, and he got up to play that song, and he said, if I had known I'd still be playing this song right now, I would have written something else. So
I feel like I saw that.
You probably
that is like ringing a bell for sure. There's definitely a song of mine called Fire, and my friend Kyle is always like, play Fire, and I'm like, I just hate that song, but it's so catchy and upbeat. Yeah. So I almost want to just like scrap the lyrics and change it completely and just keep the chorus.
Make it something.
Just because like the chorus is what is kind of like the fun part of it.
Sure.
But I'm like, I feel like I'm gonna rewrite it.
Okay.
Rewrite it because I always get requested to sing it, but I just don't like singing.
Don't like singing it anymore. I get it.
So I think I'm gonna rewrite it.
Awesome. Okay. Well, are you ready to perform this one for us?
I am.
Okay. So this is Sonya-Jean. She's gonna take us home with Home.
That was a good one.
Yeah, it's okay.
We like that.
I'm a dad, so I'm
You're
allowed
gonna
to say
keep
those.
that, yeah. Is that in tune?
It's pretty
Okay,
close.
perfect. I know, right? It's okay. Well, here I am, standing at a crossroad, shaking. Don't know if I can go further anymore. And with these hands, I'll grasp the world with all of its wonders, and finding myself in others as I go, till I am home. I'm home. I am home. Well, here I am, knowing that my heart is much bigger. The test of time makes you much stronger than before. And the mountain stands, familiar sounds with all of its colors. And knowing this is where I can go to feed my soul. Yes, I'm home. I'm home. I'm home. My father's hands, with sweating tears, built a shelter in troubled times, and all of its weather it stood tall. And in this land is all of my mother's creations, who taught us that love and patience makes things grow. Yes, I'm home. I'm home. I'm home. Yes, I'm home. I'm home. I'm home.
Beautiful. Wow.
Thank you.
You're allowed to clap too, Chad. Wow, that was great. I don't think you're ever gonna have to worry about getting sick of singing that.
Yeah, it's a great
that's,
song.
Yeah, that was wow. I get that urge sometimes where I want to jump in and start singing along, because you
Should
catch
have.
the chorus. No, it'd be terrible.
I'm like thinking that we got here that you can just.
Yeah. No, that was fantastic. Wow.
Thanks.
And thank you so much for being here today. I
Yeah.
really appreciate that, sharing that song with us. Normally, I'd kind of talk about upcoming gigs, but we all know everything's on hold right now. So you'll have to come back, talk to us some more another time, tell us about the upcoming gigs, play us another song. If you would,
Yes.
we'd love to have you back.
Thanks.
Before you do go, though, we have a little tradition here at Coffee and a Song.
Ooh.
This is our Season 1 Cup of Fame.
I'm
You mind
so
signing
honored.
that.
Thanks. Wow.
Well, thank you again. So,
Thank you.
hey, that's our show for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you like what you saw, head over to YouTube, subscribe, hit the bell. You'll get the notifications for the next episodes. Check us out on Facebook, Jackshot Records, Instagram at Jackshot Records. Can't thank Sonya-Jean enough. Until we see you the next time, that's Coffee and a Song. Thanks.